Hello, this is David Smith with David Smith Radon. For you that don't know, we hold Illinois' second oldest license to do radon mitigation. We're also a radon product distribution company, so we distribute radon products all over the nation. One of the advantages to that is I get to talk to a lot of people, get to discuss their problems, and today we're going to talk about sump pumps. Many people call it a sump pump crock, sump pump basin, whatever, but it's the vessel that your sump pump goes into, and at least in the Midwest we encounter them in almost every radon system. The problem with sump pumps is that they've made a lot of progress in them over the years, and now almost every home we're in has something unique as to what we used to be used to. And so what we're finding is the sump pump sealing process, that it is part of the radon system, as we all know, has become quite intricate, and we say that sometimes a sump pump sealing takes longer than building a radon system, and it really occasionally that is true. And so what we're going to do is talk about some ideas about how to handle the common problems that we run into, and we do a couple of these a day. And so we've ran into a lot of sump pump issues. Central Illinois is a high water table, and so that's another contributing factor. But we recently started handling a new product that I think is going to really help. I know it's really going to help. And so the first thing we're going to do is we'll introduce this new product, but we'll start by saying two of the common problems we run into in central United States is the new water backups. And oftentimes they're piped across the floor. In other words, the domestic water is fed to that sump from a pipe that is similar. This is just one way it's done, but it's quite commonly done this way. I'm a real fan of water backups. I think they're a great invention, but I think they're a nightmare for a radon person trying to seal a sump. And any of you that have encountered them, I know you're going to agree with me. But I think we have some good ideas on how we can make that easier for you. The other thing is also, as I said, Central Illinois has a high water table, so a lot of water backups, or I'm sorry, a lot of dewatering systems. And I get this question all the time also, what do I do about this dewatering system? And one of the common ones we find, especially in the older homes, has a outlet for the water leading into the sump basin that is simply a piece of PVC cut in half. But I have people call me all the time saying, how am I going to seal the sump? And how am I going to isolate the dewatering system unless I close this off? So we've tried a million things over the past, and all of you have, and we've all had to be creative with these things. But let me show you a couple things that we're doing now that we're going to be handling. This is a Sump Extension, and I've got two different sizes of these. They come in 12-inch and they come in 6-inch. And most of the time, in most situations, 6 inches would buy us a lot of freedom when we're doing a sump. There's so many times that you're doing a sump basin that you wish it was just a little bit taller. And that's what has made risers on the sump lids, elevated sump lids, it's made them more popular because we're often looking for a few inches. What I really like about these is they come in 6 inches and they come in 12 inches and they're stackable. And so there's no problem, in my opinion, that you can't get some help from because the fact that they're stackable. This is the most popular one. We're convinced of that because most of the time 6 inches will buy you out of most of your problems. So we'll start by saying if you had these two problems, one or the other or both of these problems, then you would simply make a notch for your dewatering system to go into, and make a notch for your, dewatering system, make a notch for your water backup system to go into, and then you would fill the notch with whatever. I mean, for instance, we have a gasket that would go around your pipe for that that would help. But I mean, we all know you've got to use some caulk and you've got to use some creativity. And let me stop for just a minute, because each one of these that anyone purchases comes with a scrap. And so you know how valuable it is to have an extra piece. And so when you do these cutouts, you can get creative by cutting this. We will include this with every purchase. So you have a scrap to patch back up, but you have something right here that you simply, whichever one of these your problem is, you can simply lie this down on it and do your cutout, lie it on it, seal it to the floor. We're also going to provide the brackets that we're using now, something similar to that, to help you seal it to the floor. And then you're in hog heaven. In other words, I'll include the type of lid that we're commonly using. We'll talk a little bit about that yesterday, or we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but this is the lid we use on a regular basis. So if you were able to accomplish what we just did with this, you would simply put this lid on. It's pre-drilled. The lid, the basin comes with 1/4-inch bolts, stainless steel. So all you would do is drill your hole where you need it for your sump and your electric, and then you would simply put the 4 bolts in, tighten it down. In our case, we use the gaskets. Some people do, some people don't. We like to look at the gaskets. Once again, same thing on the sump. We're going to use the gaskets. Typically, we tie it off with a tie strap here. But look at how attractive that is. And you've solved your problem. You've solved your problem of these really hard to work with water backup sumps. You've solved your problem if you have a baseboard dewatering system. And there are other problems too. These are just 2 examples. This is the lid we have used for 21 years, and we're big fans of the viewport that goes with it. So we use the economy lid with a viewport. And I might say, and then of course your check valve goes up here. And I might just for a minute talk about this lid. It is our economy lid. It is a 1/4-inch thick, and most of these lids are available on the market are 3/8 of an inch thick. We're kind of proud of the fact that we sell this for $14 without the viewport, because that's a very good price point, and this lid being thicker meets the qualifications and the standards that Arston and Illinois have for holding weight. And so we can talk about that in a little bit also, but I want to show you a little bit about both of these sump lids, the 6-inch riser and the 12-inch riser. And so if you get a real finicky customer that simply has a lot of reservations about doing a radon system because he wants his sump to be accessible, and I don't know about you, but we run into that kind of customer all the time that's very concerned about flooded basements and sumps in general. If you get one of those, here's another idea where the 12-inch one would come in handy. And remember, these are stackable, so you've got that option also. So you see the 6-inch one here. I'll lay it over here. And let me show you a little bit you can get done with the 12-inch. So if you have a customer that's going to be extremely picky about his sump, and believe you me, I see times when they change their mind about doing a radon system based on the fact that you have to seal their sump up. It just makes them that nervous. So we'll remove this mock of dewatering thing here of a water backup thing here. So let's just say that you have a customer that wants his lid free and accessible. What you can do, if you want, is you can take the sump and the electrical and put a 90 on it, and you can install this. Once again, very easy to install. Has a gasket for the lid. The lid is pre-drilled for stainless steel holes. You can run the cord through sideways. You can run the pipe through sideways. And you might be wondering, well, what's the advantage to that? I'll show you. The advantage to that on that particular customer is simply that, as I'll show you, now the lid will be free and make him feel more comfortable, him or her feel more comfortable about accessing. You can do anything with the scraps or the piece you cut out of here to patch that back in. Once again, we have gaskets that will also help that. But I'll just stick this on there for the heck of it. But here's the advantage of this particular case, and it is that here you are, an unobstructed lid. So you've got the ability to tell that consumer you can remove your lid anytime you want and service your sump if it needs it. So we feel that this is a nice option to offer that any of those customers that have that mentality, and I think that comes with people that have experienced flooded basements like most of us have. You get paranoid about sump pumps. But that paranoia about sump pumps also encourages us to use the viewport. And so this is what I'm here today for, is to show these two new items that will certainly, I think, help you in those tough situations and help speed up your job, because time is money in our world. And so I appreciate you watching this, and my own crews are convinced that there's certainly some days this is going to be their answer. So while we're on the sump subject, I'd like to talk just a little bit more about sumps and what we carry in our distribution service. And we carry about everything. We carry lids that have built-in viewports. We carry dome lids, as we spoke about earlier. This is a two-piece dome lid. We carry, these are our personal in-house lids. As a matter of fact, this is the most popular lid we have. This is that $14 price point lid. We make these in any size you want, custom sized. We're very adamant about using a viewport. We've used them for 21 years. It's a good selling tool. It's a good way for the consumer to keep an eye on their sump. So this can come without or with the viewport. These are the two, both the same sump lid. $14 for this. You'll find our viewpoint price point very attractive. Here's another example of a dome lid. This is a really nice dome lid with a hinged lid. So this dome lid is really a handy one also. And having said that, we were talking about how we've all had to come up with solutions over the past. Well, first of all, here's two Lexan type lids. It comes in square and round, typically 24 inches. Once again, any size you want is available. And I wanted to show this. We call this a plywood ring, but we started using these with the very first job we did over 8,000 homes ago. And what happened was, the first job I did, the concrete was so uneven around the sump that I realized what I called a half a tube of caulk was going to be the only cure for it, and that wasn't satisfactory. So I asked the guy if I could go home and think about it, that I hadn't learned anything in class that was going to help me out here. And I came up with this idea. And so, as I said, we've all had to come up with creative ideas to get through these troubled sumps, but we've used these for years. As a matter of fact, we even keep them in stock because there's a few customers that buy them. But it's 3/4 inch treated plywood, and the inner diameter is the size of a sump. The outer diameter allows you to put the lid on. So in other words, if you mounted this to the floor permanently around a sump, then your sump lid would simply take 4 stainless steel screws to screw to it. The consumers really like that because it's, once again, an easy way to remove a sump lid. We don't do this all the time anymore, but it's just an example of how all of us have had to be creative over the years and done things such as this. So having said that, I want to also include that every order of these economy sump lids, and once again, this sump lid is $14 and it's 1/4 inch thick instead of the usual 3/16 you see elsewhere. And Arst and Illinois both, and I don't know about some of the other states, but Arst has a code about weight. And often we know people are having to split these lids for other problems, but when you split a lid, each order of lids you buy comes with a piece to use for a saddle. So we call it a saddle. But if you had to split this lid and you put something like this over and put screws on both sides, then you would strengthen the lid back up so that you could meet the Arst requirement of the weight capacity. Because really, if you split this lid, as many of us have to do, then and think that you're going to get by just caulking it, you're really not meeting the weight requirements, because as you know, it wouldn't take much weight to break that caulk loose. But this is going to be included free in every order, something like this. And I'm not going to say it's all this size, but you're going to be able to use these, we call them scrap pieces, but you're going to be able to use these pieces for saddles and other problems you run into in sumps. And so I think that the bottom line is we understand, because we are mitigators, we understand that sump basins or sump crocks have become a real issue with us mitigators. And so we're working real hard to try to help the solutions, with the solutions. We understand mitigators because we are a mitigator. And so in our distribution center, we're making, purchasing, researching all the time, and we're really excited about these 2 new risers. Bear in mind, they do stack. I've seen all kinds of things out there, real creative things. I know there's something that sort of duplicates an upside down sump basin to try to help with pedestal sumps and sump issues. And I personally didn't have much luck working with them, but it's a very creative idea. But I want everybody to remember these things do stack. So typically I'm just convinced in our case, most of the time a 6-inch one's going to work, but if it doesn't, I can get any height, any increment of 6 inches. So please call me with any questions. We love answering questions. We've done a lot of these things. I got guys doing these sump basins every day. It's David Smith with David Smith Radon. Easy to get a hold of us. You can check us out on the website. You can call us. Just as a side note, each one of my customers gets my personal cell phone number, so we can talk over anything that you may need to talk about on any given home. So, you know, thanks for your time here. I hope this caught your interest, because it sure caught ours. And we've been searching for this product for quite a while, even to a point that we were working with a plastics company to make a mold for them. And then lo and behold, we were able to find a product that served the needs, and we're pretty excited about it. So let me know. We're going to start stocking them right away. So thank you for your time. And remember, you know, we're trying to carry the things that help you get through your radon work each day. Thanks again. David Smith.